how do you build the most amount of muscle naturally? I'm gonna give you my 5 laws for building muscle as a natural athlete. You're gonna wanna watch the rest of this video. What's up everyone, Eric Bowling here. In today's video, I'm gonna give you my 5 laws to building the most amount of muscle that you possibly can naturally. Now, these 5 laws have helped me to build quite an impressive physique over the years. Now, obviously, I'm nowhere near where I wanna be, but if you look at where I started just about almost 6 years ago, man, I've come a long way from that point right there. So, the advice I'm gonna give you is directed towards the natural lifter. So this is someone who's not using any type of performance enhancing drugs, you're not using pro hormones. The problem is the majority of people out there giving advice with the most amazing physiques ever, a lot of them are enhanced lifters, and you have to understand that the reason why they have those physiques, sure, a lot of it is hard work, but the other thing you have to understand is their body, both physiologically and hormonally, are completely different than your body and my body. And this is really important for you to understand, because if you don't understand this, look, you're gonna be taking the wrong advice, and everything that you're doing in the gym, it's not gonna work. That's just the truth about it. So the way you build muscle naturally is all going to be built around one thing, and that's muscle protein synthesis. Now, the thing that you have to understand about muscle protein synthesis is that an enhanced lifter has that thing on all the time from head to toe. That's just what drugs do, depending on what they're taking. But as a natural lifter, the only way you're really signaling muscle protein synthesis to occur is once you train the muscle. Now, it's not like you can train your chest once a week and somehow muscle protein synthesis is occurring from head to toe. No, it doesn't work that way as a natural lifter. In fact, muscle protein synthesis is limited to the muscle you trained, and it usually runs anywhere from 24 to 48 hours before that muscle protein synthesis ends. Now, if you think about that, and this is gonna be our first law, you have to understand that hitting a muscle more frequently is going to be the key to growth. So the first rule is train a muscle more frequently to keep muscle protein synthesis constantly turned on. This is very important to understand, because if you're following what we call the quote unquote bro split of, let's say, chest on Monday, legs, if you ever even do legs, on Tuesday, Wednesday shoulders or back or something like that, and you're hitting every muscle once a week, then you're missing out on a lot of potential gains, because you're not triggering muscle protein synthesis in those muscles multiple times per week. Now look, it doesn't matter how often you train a muscle if you're not eating enough. A lot of natural guys are trying to walk around year-round under 10% body fat, and look, you just can't build muscle in a caloric deficit. You can't. As much as you believe you're getting bigger, look, all you're doing is you're maintaining a pump, you're keeping glycogen storage full, so the muscle looks like it's bigger, but you're not actually gaining any size. And this was a mistake that I made for 3 years. For 3 years, I lost so much potential muscle I could have put on because I was so dedicated to walking around lean. And then the problem was, I'm like, I'm not growing. I mean, sure, my abs are visible, but I look so small. And that's the problem that a lot of naturals have, is they just look super tiny. And the reason why is because they're competing multiple times per year, and they're never giving themselves a chance to fully bulk up and really build some solid quality muscle mass. But look, the way you build solid quality muscle mass is going to be by supplying your body with enough calories from the right sources. So point number 2 is eat. So a lot of people just don't understand this idea of slowly and gradually increasing their caloric intake over time, but they apply this principle in the gym with trying to get stronger, slowly adding more weight on. Look, the same thing is true with your eating. You need to train the body to slowly but surely get used to a greater and greater caloric intake, and then you're gonna start to see yourself grow. Now you're probably asking, well, what are the macros and how do I get that done? And should I go keto or should I do it? Well, look, here's the thing. At the end of the day, you just need to be focused on eating. Can you get really big with keto? Probably not. Can you get huge with intermittent fasting? I don't think so. The whole purpose of getting bigger is, look, you gotta be eating more frequently. So for me, sure, I used keto for years to get down to really low levels of body fat, but I'm not going to be getting super big on keto. I need the carbs for the extra calories. So what I would suggest is just go with the very basic model of 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight to keep it simple. Now the research is pretty clear that you can't necessarily overeat protein because it doesn't necessarily get stored as fat. So yes, it'll increase the total amount of energy you have, which will help you to put on a little bit more weight, but it's not gonna be getting stored as fat, so don't worry about eating a gram of protein per body weight. The next thing you need to calculate is your fats. Ideally, 20 to 25% when you're bulking is a good strategy to use. So you're just going to calculate those calories, pretty simple, use a calculator if you need it. And then the rest goes into carbohydrates. The next thing, my third law for building muscle as a natural athlete, look, you gotta be very, very careful with how you train. A lot of these guys who are on drugs, look, they could train any way they want and they're going to grow. If you don't believe me, you gotta check out the research study that showed 3 different groups of people. One group took steroids and didn't train. Another group took steroids and they trained and they had a clean diet. The other group was completely natural, but they followed a strict training routine and they had a good diet. And guess what? The group that was on steroids but did absolutely nothing built more muscle and lost more fat than the group who was training naturally. So you have to understand that a lot of the times these enhanced lifters, if they're on anabolics, they have muscle protein synthesis working around the clock 24 hours a day from head to toe. Look, they can do high volume if they want. They could do strength training if they want. They could do bodybuilding or power bodybuilding. They could do whatever type of program they want and they are going to grow. That's not you, however. So when it comes to how we train, we need to be very, very careful with what we decide to use as not only our exercise, but also our strategy. You can't only be focused on getting stronger on the main compound lifts. I did that for a long time and guess what? I did not grow. My arms did not get super huge, my chest did not get super huge, and my legs didn't get super huge. But I was focusing on benching, squatting, and deadlifting, and my numbers were pretty big. I almost got into the 300s with bench press, I squatted in the 400s, and I've deadlifted in the 500s, but that didn't equate to me building muscle. So the thing that I want you to understand for this third point in terms of how you build the most amount of muscle possible naturally is you need to be very meticulous with your exercise selection and only choose the exercises that you feel. Don't even listen to what I'm saying. Don't listen to what any guru is saying. Look, if you cannot feel your quads in back squats are not going to be the best tool for you to help build quads. It's just not. Now this is going to be a problem because now you see what it's like as being a natural. You have to constantly be experimenting. For me personally, I like Olympic high bar squats, not even going all the way down. So as you can see in this video, I'm not even going all the way down, but what I'm focusing on is really squeezing my quads and keeping tension on my quads the entire time. And guess what? For me, literally, when I rack the weight, I just collapse to the ground and my quads are so pumped with blood. And the next day I can't move. But then as you could see in this video, I'm squatting in the 300s, but I didn't feel my quads at all. I felt my ass and I felt my hamstrings. And sure, that's good. It's always good to change things up. But when it comes to solely building a large amount of muscle, you need to be selecting exercises that are really taxing the muscle you're trying to work. All right, so number 4, you need to be focusing on your recovery. Look, if you're training hard and you're doing all of this stuff, so you're eating really good and you're training really good, your exercise selection is good, but you're not sleeping enough and you're not doing anything to recover well, it doesn't matter what you're doing, you're not gonna be growing. You have to understand that the most important thing as a natural athlete is to get a shit ton of sleep. So you have to understand that even though maybe you're sleeping 6 hours and you feel like you can run okay on that, you have to understand that research has shown that for every extra hour of sleep you get, it may be an extra 15% increase in your total testosterone levels. So your sleep is going to be the main thing that is building all these hormones that we want, because that's the only way we're really getting them is when we sleep. The other thing to know is that when we sleep, that's our chance for our body to repair all the damage that we've caused. So if you're only damaging your body, but you're never doing anything to recover, your chances of building muscle are zero. Look, if you like this video so far, and if I still have your attention, make sure that you leave a like just so you wake up. Point number 5, final point. This one's gonna sound a little weird. If you don't believe you're gonna grow, and you believe steroids is the only way for you to get bigger, guess what? You're not going to grow. So I don't care what you say or what you do, at the end of the day, if you don't believe it's possible as a natural athlete to build a solid amount of muscle, and everyone who's bigger than you, you just instantly claim steroids, you're not going to be growing. So I think one of the most interesting studies that was ever done was a study that basically took what would be the effects of a placebo steroid. Now, so what they did was they took 3 groups. One group was on steroids. The other group, they were given a placebo. They were told they were taking steroids. The other group didn't take anything. Here's the best part about this. The group who was on the placebo, the group that was training, who thought that they were on steroids, guess what? They almost got the same result of those who were on steroids. All of their strength was increased, their muscle mass was increased. Everyone said, oh my God, I feel amazing. I've never felt this strong before, etc. Here's the funniest thing about that. They weren't on steroids. They just believed that, oh, I'm gonna get stronger. I'm gonna grow a lot of muscle. Here's the cool part. They then took that steroid placebo group, split them up into 2 groups. They told half of the group it was a placebo and we faked you out. They told the other group, the second part of the group, hey, we're gonna double your dosage, continue doing what you're doing. And guess what? The placebo group who thought they were doubling on the dosage, they just continued to get stronger. But the group who knew that it was a placebo now, guess what? All of their lifts started to go back down because they were in here defeating themselves. So I think that the 5th law for building muscle as a natural athlete is you have got to believe that it's possible, and you cannot think that steroids is the only way, because look, this is kind of what happens. You're not building any muscle because you're not doing any of the 4 things to begin with. Then you see someone who is bigger than you and you instantly claim, oh, that guy has got to be on steroids. So then you kind of make it up in your mind that the only way for me to grow is to go on steroids. Well, then guess what? The moment you go on steroids, you're telling yourself, hey, this was the thing I needed to start growing. So of course you're going to start growing. Now, are there real physiological and hormonal things that will occur when you go on steroids? Sure. But as that research study showed, a lot of it was in here. That's something that you have to understand. So the last thing I want you to know is that it is possible for you to build an amazing physique without steroids, but you gotta go through all 5 of these things. So look, if you liked this video, if you felt that this was helpful, I want you to go ahead and leave a like, leave a comment, but also make sure that you subscribe to see more content like this. So videos will come out every Tuesday and every Thursday, so make sure that you subscribe and click that bell icon so that you can stay notified. And until then, I will see you next time.